This is like my second time recording this because the audio was absolutely horrendous. I tried to use this Five Below. I should have known better. But this might not be an all one take. I might be kind of chopping it up because I do have class in like 10 minutes. We'll see. So my name's Sierra. I'm here to kind of overanalyze, spew out a bunch of nonsense about the movie DogMan.
What?
I saw it recently, and I'm currently in my last year of an art therapy and counseling degree. It's my master's level. Gotta add that credentials. And a lot of my classes are talking about the themes that are in this movie. And I noticed that, quite frankly, one specific thing from this movie, we talked about the week, like 2 days before I went to see the movie. They talked about it, and I was like, what the heck? And so, why not? I'm gonna talk about DogMan. And there's so many things to talk about. I could talk about grief, identity, because that's a huge part of the film, but I will not get ahead of myself, and I'm going to share a little bit about what DogMan is. So DogMan is a 2025 animated film based on the children's book by the same name, and the overview that I found says, when a police officer and his faithful police dog get injured in the line of duty, a harebrained but life-saving surgery fuses the two of them together, and DogMan is born. As DogMan learns to embrace his new identity, he must stop the feline supervillain Petey the cat from cloning himself and going on a crime spree. Which is so goofy, so silly. Like, what is this about? But as you find out, it's a lot in there. So basically, I want to discuss pretty much Petey and his clone son situation, little Petey, and I'll probably it's going to be spoilers. Maybe for the books. I didn't read the books. I read Captain Underpants, and so that's my kind of like relationship with DogMan series. And so I'll have spoilers for at least the movie. So in both of my family-related classes, I'm taking family therapy and a parenting class. We do talk about generational trauma and also what love is. I'll first talk about kind of the generational trauma through Petey. And so he's an orange cat, evil, grumpy, and he accidentally cloned himself on purpose, but for some reason he has to wait 18 years for it to be like him. So it's pretty much a kid. So it's a kid version of Petey. He names himself Little Petey. Immediately sees Petey as dad, and Petey is very uncomfortable with that and is very upset and wants him to be miserable like he is, and he wants him to feel like the world sucks and things like that. And he elaborates and explains that, you know, he's this way because his dad left his mom and himself when he was young, took everything they had in a truck and drove off. And so that's the trauma from Petey's life that causes him to be the way that he is. And he kind of puts that on little Petey. So little Petey, he is a kid, young, naive, is hopeful for the world, which is the opposite of his dad. And when he hears the story about his grandfather, he thinks, oh, maybe he will change, so he brings him over. And mind you, during this time, Petey does try to leave and abandon little Petey in many different ways. Well, yeah, in many different ways. He does try to leave him in a box and things like that, which is where he does meet DogMan and they form their relationship. I think his purpose, Lil Petey's purpose, is to break the cycle. We'll talk more about cycle breaking and things like that later, but he really is that kid who's like, I want things to be different. He doesn't outright say that, but you can really get that sense. Petey's dad or grandpa, be
nice. I'm finding it.
It take you that long to find it?
It does.
Is someone who I believe that anyone and everyone can change, but you have to want to and have a desire to, and I don't believe that Petey's dad wants to change or feels a need to. And so that's him in a nutshell. Moving on from that, we talk about love. So in one of my classes, the parenting one, we're reading a book called All About Love by Bell Hooks. And this book has led to just huge question about what is love. Is love a truth, an action, or a feeling? There's no right or wrong answer for that. However, DogMan does have a stance. So there is a scene where Lil Petey notices how his grandfather degrades, puts down Petey, and he's like, hey, like, why are you doing that? Don't do that. And Grandpa Pete, he's like, why do you care? Like, why is this like an issue? And little Petey states that he loves him. And Grandpa Pete is like I will feel that.
Oh my god! Oh jeez, oh my god!
which is like, that's so dastardly. But he says that, and little Petey replies, love is not just a feeling, it's something you do. And there's even a song called Love is a Verb by John Mayer. It's just a lot about how action is a way to show love. Action is love. And so that's like a big thing that I noticed in the film. And I noticed that Petey was very thrown off by that. And I think he's used to actions not aligning with love, that he did not register that love could be an action or something that you do, which is interesting. And so this really impacts the film because it talks a lot about breaking cycles. So you have a scene where Petey and little Petey are walking, and at first Petey was really negative and little Petey was the positive one. However, Grandpa Pete does the same thing he does to Petey to little Petey, both of them. He takes all their stuff and leaves, except for little Petey. He likes to draw comics, and that's his way of connecting with other characters, and he did not take that. And so that really impacted little Petey to the point where he started seeing things as terrible and awful. And so Petey notices that, at that moment he breaks the cycle by just sharing with him the stars in this beautiful scene. And he's like, the world isn't as bad if you're in it. And little Petey responds like, and DogMan. And so there's themes of just found family, actions to show love, like Petey puts his life on the line for little Petey and things like that against Flippy the fish. And so I do have to run to class, but I just want to say that this film was really great. I enjoyed it. It was really silly, but I think that it was silly in a way that it held space for those serious moments, and I think it's something worth talking about with kids and people and things like that. So yeah, that's why I wanted to share with you. Thanks.